Hi, I'm Bill from Little White Dory. I'm going to do a presentation on how to make sauerkraut today. I was asked by a friend to do a demonstration, so I decided that instead of just putting up the results, that I would do a whole demonstration on how to make sauerkraut from cabbage. Simon, I hope you enjoy. Quickly, I'll just say that Little White Dory, a lot of people ask what that means. A dory is a type of a boat. And I had a small 15-foot or 16-foot dory with a 30 horsepower engine. And I would find myself fishing in places that most people wouldn't necessarily go with a little small engine and a small boat. But I live right near the Great South Bay on Long Island, and I would take the boat out to the Fire Island Inlet, go out in the ocean. I'd go all over the place with this boat. Never had a problem. Probably could have had a lot of problems, but never did. So a lot of people would recognize me out on the water, and they would say, "Oh, that's that Little White Dory." So that's how I got the email and the channel name. So today I'm going to do the sauerkraut. It was inspired by Art and Brie. I'll probably say that too many times, but Art is, I think, a very brilliant man and does a lot with his channel. His family is homesteading in North Carolina. They have a bunch of animals, they do farming, they have all kinds of good, interesting stuff, but he does quite often show how to do something that should be easy, and it was. I tried it, and well, I'm going to show you what you need. So without any further ado, I'll show you the things that you're going to need to get this started. Okay, and the first and most obvious components would be the cabbage. I bought 2 cabbage. I have a big hand, so it's probably not going to be very helpful to determine, but this is, well, I guess I could weigh it. I have a scale right over there. I bought 2. I bought a smaller one and a larger one. I think the smaller one is probably plenty to fill 1 mason jar. I bought the ball quart size. You don't need the top for this, you're just going to need the ring. I also bought some of the covers that will go over that you can replace, so that when it's done you can put it in your refrigerator and keep it from continuing to ferment. I have my mandolin slicer. It's not so easy one-handed. That's for grating. There's one that does, there we go. It has these little blades that'll give me a shred. I guess it's for doing like a coleslaw, so that's the blade that I chose to use. And again, this blade is crazy sharp. I'm just noticing one of the tips is bent. I'll probably off camera try to straighten that. I have a large mixing bowl. Quite often I'll also use a plastic bowl. I'm not sure which I'll use. I may even use both. And one good size knife for slicing it into quarters, I guess. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is peel off a few of the outer layers of the cabbage. I'm going to use the big one because I want to make 2, and I have the second one just in case there wasn't enough. So I'm going to peel off the outer layers, and for now I'll discard them. I followed a YouTube channel called Art and Brie, where Art decided he would show everybody how to make sauerkraut. And I have to agree, it couldn't have been easier. Okay, I guess I'll leave that little, what the heck, I'll get rid of it. A little damaged section there. But that's about all I've taken off. It's just that outer layer. Now I am going to use a smaller knife, just a paring knife, and I'm going to go ahead and take the core out of this. Some people cut it into quarters first, but I was shown a method that, well, that probably is going to just work right there. Throw that in the garbage. There, so we got this cord. Now, we put it on its end, I'm going to slice it in half. Set that over here. This over here. And I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to try to get this into three pieces. And I'm going to cut it on the diagonal so that it holds together a little bit. Okay, I just decided that I'd show this part because I figured it's just sort of as I'm going, I'm figuring this out. But by taking this large quarter of a slice and using the mandolin, I'm just going to clear the space. I started this way. It actually went very quickly. I mean, again, super careful on the fingertips, but you can see it's a much quicker process. And again, when it gets to the end, go ahead and use the gadget they gave you. It's a little awkward to me. I guess if you're doing like a potato, it's got these little spikes in the bottom here that I guess it's supposed to help hold whatever it is you're slicing in place, but I'm finding it to just be a little troublesome. So again, once you got to that point, you can take it off. Pull out this, and then that's it. We're done with the mandolin. And what I'm going to do is just sift through it and pull these pieces out. Anything that's larger than I want. Not that there's a lot, but just to keep the pieces somewhat uniform. So it's really now more like a chop slaw, which I guess as a kid I grew up, my grandmother used to make it in a chopped form like this. She didn't have a mandolin, she just used her knife. In fact, I inherited the knife. And it's the one that I actually figured it was this finger just about a week ago. Took a nice slice out of my finger. Still very sharp. Okay, the last step is for me to measure out some salt. And I have these dessert spoons. I'm guessing it's a teaspoon size. So I've got about that much. I'm going to put the same in both bowls. I'm going to put a little tiny bit more in there. And the next step is to work the cabbage. Just to keep crunching it. Now this is, each bowl is 1/2 of a head, that one large head. And I'm finding that it just needs to be worked like this, with that little bit of salt. I guess I call this multitasking. And you can see some of the cabbage sort of tends to skip out. Maybe I'm going a little too fast. As I'm doing this, it's starting to get a little moisture. If I dig down to the bottom, now you can't really see it yet. I don't know if that indicates that this cabbage was slightly drier, or it's fresher, or not as fresh. I'm not sure, but it didn't seem to make a big difference. I may cut this down to just show you a few seconds of this because I don't know how exciting it is to see someone crunching cabbage like this. And mind you, I have fairly large hands, so maybe it's a little easier for me. I don't know. I suppose if you've had experience in thumb wrestling or milking cows, your fingers may have some extra strength. But all right, so okay, I figured I'd take you in kind of close to see what this is looking like, and you can see it's kind of a confetti. I don't know why, but this bowl seems less full than this, so maybe I didn't cut it in half. I don't know. I thought I got it pretty close. But the objective is going to be to stuff one bowl into each jar. I don't know if I will or not. I can always grab another jar. And I found this. I'm going to use this to press it in. Looks like it would be pretty good. Miss Lally, I saw you using your meat tenderizer, but didn't fit in the top of the lid, top of the jar. So from here, I'm probably just going to work it a little bit more by hand. I'm not seeing like liquid form at the bottom, so I don't know if that means I need more salt. This definitely feels more wet, although I don't see it forming at the bottom yet. So probably work it a little longer. Maybe I'll work another little bit of salt in there. Okay, so I did go ahead and add a little more salt, and I started working. It's much more moist, so I'm going to just show you that it's definitely working. And if we can close in, and you can see it's, as I squeeze it, it's wringing out the cabbage juice. So a little more working it won't hurt. Again, you can see it foaming up. It's really doing what it's supposed to do. And this is, I'm thinking about maybe 3 to 5 minutes of actual crunching it like this by hand, kneading it, whatever this action is called. And but this doesn't come off. It's not sticky. It just tends to stay on your hand. So I'm just going to work that together. I don't know if it's just the salt starting to work. This one in here. So yeah, same thing here. Just after a few minutes of sitting, it really starts to, I guess, sweat out the moisture. I'm pretty sure there's a name for this process of breaking the cell walls and getting the water to come out, making just the right amount of brine. Definitely feels like there's more in the bigger bowl, but I don't know. Yeah, I can see that. So I didn't do the others drastically more in time as far as my first, this will be my third time making this. My first time I made 2 jars. Well, I thought it was going to be 1, but it was really like 1.5. And they were slightly different in that they weren't as filled. Then I made another batch with just 1 jar. And I like that one better. That was okay. Now it's time to stuff this into a jar, and I just kind of scoop it. Get it in there. I think this is going to be like the perfect amount for 1 jar. Now, you definitely want to make sure you get any of the liquid that's in here into the jar. And I have no idea what this is for. It's probably for baking. Oh yeah, I'm going to actually have plenty of room. And just press it in, right? Compress it down as much as you can. And if you're lucky, the liquid will fill up above the actual cabbage. And in my case, it's kind of close. It's pretty good. All right, so you can kind of get a sense of, it's probably down here, and there's this much to go. And I think what I'll do is make a little bit of salted water, and I'll put it in there. So I didn't know how many I would need. I have 3. this is a little bit more. I'll know when I'm trying to stuff it in. It feels like it's a little bit more. Well, not much. Again, just working it down in there. I don't know what this is, what my wife has in the cabinet with her baking supplies. I don't have any clue as to what it's for, but it looked like it would do the job for what I needed. So I might have to go out and get her another one unless she doesn't care. It's only cabbage, right? Yeah, so I think this one's just a little more full. Put that in there. And put the excess in here. Pour this liquid into here. Again, I'm going to push this down. Push this one down. So the one I'm holding now is slightly more full than that one. Just slightly. Maybe I have to push a little harder. Yeah, that one was packed in a little better. But the point is that you want to have the liquid covering the top of the sauerkraut, or the top of the cabbage. It's not sauerkraut yet. And then, with a piece of the sour cabbage from the jar that I kept, I'm just going to kind of tuck this in, tuck it down in the corners. I did this on the first one. I didn't do it on the second batch, but it just seems like a good idea, just to kind of keep things submerged a little bit. Just using my fingertips to kind of tuck it down around the edge as best I can. I think as I push down on one end, it pops up on the other. So you can see this one, well, they're pretty close, but this one has got a little more liquid in it than this one. Maybe if I push down a little. Yeah, that's actually probably a good idea. Now, the first time I made this, I was surprised because it eventually kind of overflowed into the pan that I have it preserved or had it sitting in. So I think they're about the same. You take some water, make a saline solution out of it, which is going to be a little, I think, saltier than what it would be if it was just the amount that is in the cabbage. Dissolve that. It takes a little time. Okay, and I'm going to just top off just a little bit. That's it. take my piece of paper towel, put it over the top, take my lid, and once you get it seated just right, it'll close down over it, like so. I'm just going to try to find that starting spot. There we go. Put the date on it so I know I'm just right. Okay, so that's how I make homemade sauerkraut. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave some comments down below. If you like the video, by all means like it, and if you're interested in subscribing, go right ahead. I won't charge anything extra, and maybe pass it along. I hope it inspires you perhaps to make your own sauerkraut. It's just so easy. It's literally just shredding cabbage, add a little salt, crunch it up, stuff it in a bottle, pack it down, put it in a dark, no, it doesn't have to be dark. My spot is not terribly dark. It's a shelf in a bookshelf in my study. And I look at it every now and then just to make sure nothing crazy is happening, although I didn't see it overflowing the first time I made it. But I put it in this little pan here. I can carry it, and that way it's going to overflow. It'll stay inside the pan. It won't cause any problems. The other head of cabbage will go to the chickens. They love cabbage, and I shred them probably about a third or a quarter of a head of cabbage each day, and sometimes kale, sometimes collards, different greens, just to keep some greens in their diet. I don't feed them anything particularly fancy. Purina, Leina is the type, and I figured if I could add anything to that, it just makes it better. So, homemade sauerkraut. Go get some hot dogs, hot dog buns, get a cabbage head. Of course, you're going to have to wait a little while, but, you know, get the hot dog buns and stuff in 2 weeks. Give it a shot. It's really yummy. Simon, this is specifically for you. I know you were curious to see how I did it. I know there's lots of other videos on YouTube that'll tell you how to do this. This is just my version of it, and I learned it from YouTube, from Art and Brie. Art is quite the talented man, and I'm always curious to see what little tidbits of information he'll have to show us. And he just wanted to talk about fermenting food. So if you've got time, go ferment something. If you really know what you're doing, maybe make some beer, but this is a quick, easy ferment. Okay, guys, been a pleasure talking with you. We'll see you again soon.